It's our favorite time of the year at Holiday. It's coffee time. And what better way to celebrate than with 99-cent any size hot coffee for a limited time? Choose from all of our 100% Arabica bean coffees, sustainable rainforest house blend or Nicaraguan, 100% Colombian, or dark roast. Any size is only 99 cents. So make time to celebrate coffee time at Holiday. Any blend, any size hot coffee or cappuccino is only 99 cents, but only for a limited time. And only at Holiday.
Are you struggling with acute or chronic back pain and looking for solutions? Missoula Bone & Joint welcomes Dr. Justin Kruer to our team. Dr. Kruer specializes in pain management and interventional procedures with over 12 years of experience providing patients with pain management care. Dr. Kruer offers non-surgical options, including injections and radiofrequency, and is accepting new patients. Call Missoula Bone & Joint or schedule your appointments online at MissoulaBoneandJoint.com. Missoula Bone & Joint, quality care from people who care.
Hey Missoula, come spend your Friday nights this fall at Oakland Park Allegiance Field as the Osprey, ATG, Cognizant, and 104.5 The U host the first annual Free Fall Flicks. Enjoy blockbuster hits at the ballpark, all for free. This week's film is Captain Marvel, showing Friday night, October 4th at 6:30. Gates open at 5:30. The final film will be decided by you, so be sure to cast your vote. Check out Missoula Osprey on Facebook for the full movie schedule and more info.
When you're beyond the reach of cable and fiber internet, look up. Eagle Satellite is our community-authorized HughesNet retailer. With HughesNet, you'll have the fast speeds, unlimited data with no hard data limits, and the built-in Wi-Fi you need. Eagle Satellite has helped our community get online for 39 years. For a limited time, get free standard installation when you order HughesNet from Eagle Satellite. Call Eagle Satellite at 406-728-9999 and see for yourself why HughesNet is America's #1 choice for satellite internet. That's Eagle Satellite at 406-728-9999. Call now.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I enjoy, and it's something my father and I used to do. There was a time I was going through some things. I wasn't feeling like myself, and my friend noticed and asked me if he could hold on to my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
If a loved one is depressed, asked to temporarily store guns away from home. Need help? Text MT to 741-741 or call 800-273-TALK. Sponsored by DPHHS and aired by the NBA.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Missoula Parks and Recreation invites families to the 19th Annual Fall Family Festival from 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park, Saturday, October 19th. We'll be celebrating the season with wheelchair-accessible hayrides, fall-themed crafts, face painting, cider pressing, music, food, and fun for the whole family. This is a fundraiser for Parks and Rec, with all proceeds benefiting youth recreation programming. Join us October 19th, 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park for the Fall Family Festival. Details at missoulaparks.org.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's 4 o'clock. Welcome to Montana's only statewide sports talk show. Broadcast on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Western Montana and across the state on SWX Television.
I like football!
Now, the 2017 Radio Sports Broadcaster of the Year on the show with back-to-back Montana Broadcaster Association awards for sports coverage and award-winning sports journalism. Here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. The week at its midway point, the
Big Sky Conference, second week of play. And a roundtable with former Grizz and NFL football player Dallas Neal. It is Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio and around the state on SWX Montana Television. Hi, how are you? Great to be with you here on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you are having a fantastic day. We are broadcasting live from the spacious, beautiful, comfortable confines of the Kurtz Polaris Studios. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, and online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can also find us on the World Wide Web, 1029ESPN.com. There you can listen live on the stream. It's on the Listen Live tab. The stream available thanks to Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. If you want to pick up your phone and call, well, you go right ahead. 329-1899. Area code 406. That should cover the whole state. Pretty easy. 329-1899. The phone number. All guests join us via the Rankich Brothers RV phone line. Let's take a look at what we got in the show today on a Wednesday afternoon. We're going to start off, Coulter and I, talking about Montana and Montana State and just some thoughts. We've been talking a lot, Coulter and I have, about these two teams and the forthcoming games that they each have. So we're going to cover some of that stuff. It is, after all, a Wednesday, so we're going to take your calls and do some trivia for a Wing It Wednesday. Send you out to the Desperado Sports Tavern to do some trivia, get some wings that way. We'll do some of that stuff. We also are going to have Kevin Thompson. He is the quarterback for Sacramento State. He is outstanding. He's been a good quarterback, a very good quarterback in this league for a while. He is only a junior because he's gotten a couple of years back from injury, so he's a veteran guy, but still has a lot of football ahead of him. The quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets. They are playing the game of the week. We're going to try and preview the game of the week in the Big Sky Conference, regardless of whether it involves the Cats or the Grizz. This week, the game of the week, Eastern Washington at Sac State. Sac State better than people expected. Eastern Washington not as good as people expected. And I'll tell you something. We did this on the FCS Speculators podcast today. Sacramento State is favored in this game by 2.5 points. So, make of that what you will. But we'll have him on. We will also, in the second hour, have our ESPN Roundtable. Remember now, that has moved to Wednesdays within the show, the ESPN Roundtable, and then is tomorrow at noon, Thursdays at noon, where that will air again. What do they call that? Well, the second running, right? The encore performance of the ESPN Roundtable at noon on 102.9 ESPN Radio in western Montana. This week, Dallas Neal, former Grizzly punter and an outstanding one at that, and then went all the way to the NFL, played for the Falcons and the Jets, and he has got a story for you. In fact, he's got a bunch of stories for you, but his route to make it into the NFL, something else, really remarkable, and he is back in town and runs a couple of different entities, entrepreneur, some gyms, and the Source Health Club, and so on. So fun to sit down and talk with him. So we got all of that for you on the show. The show Outlook, it is brought to us by our friends over at MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Missoula Gutter Cleaning, your source for all things gutter cleaning. Make it easy on yourself. The most fun, the most insured. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Coulter is on his way back from practice right now. He will be here very, very shortly to talk about all things Cats and Grizz here, as he was down at practice talking to Bobby Houck. But I wanted to talk a little bit here with you about the Montana-Idaho State football game. Idaho State has been in sort of an interesting situation. I think they get overlooked a lot, partially because they have been historically mediocre at best, and also because they just, they built this stadium there in 1970-something, and it hasn't been touched since then, and it looks the part, and it's just this weird, odd thing out there. But Rob Fennessy has got that thing rolling a little bit. He is obviously coming in there and has great energy and has, kind of a different approach to things, which in Pocatello I think you kind of need to a certain extent, and he's got a quarterback who's gone out there and this past weekend, Matt Struck throwing 14 of 23 for 332 yards and 6 touchdowns on 14 receptions, which we talked about. I mean, how impressive that was as Idaho State pounded Portland State 51-24. But the thing to me is, Coulter will say more about this. The Grizz, coming off of their performance on Saturday, how could you not be impressed with that? How could they not be favored? And of course, they are favored. And I think everybody kind of on the outside is expecting Montana to win this football game. I think a lot of Grizz Nation is over the top excited with the performance they saw on Saturday and excited to welcome Montana home for homecoming in this football game against Idaho State. And particularly when you look at the rest of the conference slate at home, Weber State, Idaho, Eastern Washington. Those are the three other home games in conference. If you looked at the conference games, this one against Idaho State would be the kind of one where you go, yeah, okay, win for Montana. Now, you would probably say that about Idaho as well, but it's the rivalry, continuing to be renewed now that Idaho is back in the Big Sky Conference. So that one kind of gets circled a little bit. And then Weber State and Eastern, those are, two of the other best teams in the conference, at least was, we thought that they were. And certainly Weber State has borne that out. Eastern Washington's kind of, we'll see what's going on there. But obviously, those are games that the fan base is going to be up for. But when you talk about Idaho State, it's going to be like, okay, the Bengals will come, Montana will whip them, and that'll be that. I'm not so sure about it. And I think you'll be interested to hear Coulter's thoughts about it because he really likes Montana in this game, and I do as well. But I'm telling you what, this Idaho State team is really, really good. And Matt Struck, he's a kid who bounced around a little bit, was sitting behind some guys playing Division I football, then transferred, and I think it was even at a junior college, and then transferred into Idaho State, then was hurt. But when he has been available and when he has played, if you look at the games that he's started, been the full, you got him through the whole game, he's been outstanding. I mean, really, really good. And I'm excited to see this kid play. And then, look, let's be honest, Montana is going to be Idaho State's, first real test defensively, certainly in that regard. And so this is going to be, a big proving ground, a proving moment for Idaho State. But, with Mitch Guller, who is, one of, if not the best athlete as a wide receiver and just an outstanding wide receiver in his own right, and Matt Struck, I think this team's going to be better than what people think. And I think a lot of people in western Montana and who are followers of the University of Montana Grizzlies think that it's all about the Grizz and what they're able to do and that they're just the better team, and they probably are. But I do think that you got to consider and give a little bit of respect to these other teams and what they bring to the table, especially when you got a guy like Rob Fennessy, who was the offensive coordinator for Bobby Hauck at the University of Montana and then again at UNLV, and knows Bobby Hauck intimately what he wants to do in a bunch of different ways, which Bobby Hauck referred to in the press conference earlier this week, talking about how Montana is going to have to change some things up, is going to have to do some things differently to ensure that, that Rob Fennessy can't just read the tarot cards, read the tea leaves, and know what Montana is going to be up to. And certainly both sides are well aware of that and the gamesmanship that is at play. With that, we welcome in Coulter, back from practice. Hello, Coulter.
Hello.
How was Bobby today?
He's in a very good mood.
One would think.
One would think the opposite. I would think.
You're actually right.
Because what does Coach Hauck hate more than anything?
Winning?
Everybody. Well, no, he loves winning. He loves winning more than anything. He hates losing more than anything. But what he hates second most behind losing is when people are trying to say, "Oh, great win, great job."
How great are you? Yes.
Because he's like, no, you can tell me that after we win 15 consecutive games and we are the national champions.
Yeah.
Never satisfied.
Yeah.
Coach Hauck was good today. We'll have that interview for you later on this week. But I was listening to your intro, and I think that last night I did my deep dive. Go check out SkySportsMT.com for our first look. We always do a first look article with just general thoughts on the game, the two teams, and then quick hitting facts about whoever the Montana State's playing, the coach, and then 6 players to watch: 3 on offense, 3 on defense. And what you said, people around here think that Montana's just so much better than Idaho State. Well, let's start with the skill guys. Ty Flanagan's better than any running back on Montana's roster. So advantage Idaho State. Idaho State's offensive line is better than Montana's. Advantage Idaho State. The only 2 receivers I would rank in the top 7 in the Big Sky Conference let's take that back. The only 2 receivers I would rank in the top 5 in the Big Sky Conference that don't play for Montana play at Idaho State. Mitch Guller and Mikey Dean. And I actually voted those 2 guys as 2 of my 3 preseason All-Big Sky guys. Great testament to Mike Ferreter, because Mike Ferreter has recruited and coached all of these guys between the 2 locations. And that'll be an interesting factor. We'll get into that a little bit, too. I asked Coach Hauck about that exact thing, because this is a homecoming for Mike Ferreter on homecoming weekend, but he just happens to be coaching for the Idaho State Bengals. So I'm sure he's surreal experience for Mike Farrader.
No doubt.
Because he's been back here before as wide receivers coach, but now he's the offensive coordinator, and now he's not coaching receivers against a Mick Delaney coach team. He's coordinating an offense and matching wits with the guy who was his head coach in college in Bobby Houck, and then his mentor in the coaching business, because Mike Farrader's first job was as a graduate assistant at UNLV. But so you look at just the offensive. I mean, you're talking about maybe a tiny, tiny slight advantage for Montana with the wide receivers, just because they got 3 instead of 2, but not much. And I'd put Mitch Guller up there with anybody. And Jerry Lou McGee, one of the fastest guys in the league. Guess who's the only guy I would say is faster?
Gabe Sulcer
and Mikey Dean.
Yeah.
Gabe Sulcer and Mikey Dean are great parallels because they're small track guys that are incredibly explosive football players too. Here's one for you. Mikey Dean was second in the entire he led the state of California, second in the entire country in high school in rushing yards. 2,555 yards rushing and 37 touchdowns his senior year during a 10-game season. Think of that.
Yeah.
255 yards a game.
But let me ask you this, because this game is so interesting from a coaching standpoint because of the overlap that you talked about and the history and all that. But if you were going to give a nod to a coaching staff here, it would be the Montana coaching staff. When you talk about Rosenbaugh and Bobby Houck and what they have managed to do and the way that this offense has been able to roll. And
maybe. I mean, Idaho State, since Mike Farrader took over as offensive coordinator, they've scored 38 or more points in 10 of their last 15 games.
It's fine. I just think that when you talk, and I mean, it's both sides of the ball. I mean, Kent Barry Sachs, the guys defensively, what they've been up to. Impressive stuff.
Totally.
And so, but the point is that for as well as Farrader, Fennessy, Bobby Houck, it's a two-way street, right? I mean, he knows those guys inside and out and knows what they're up to as well. And so I think this is an open book. This will be a lot of fun to see the chess game that bears out on Saturday afternoon at Washington Grizzly Stadium.
It will, and it'll also be interesting to see the dynamic of so many coaches. When they come in, they have a vision. They want to make their own vision, or they're talking about their mentor or whatever. But when Rob Fennessy took the Idaho State job, let's go through the timeline here. Idaho State's coming out of spring ball in 2017. Mike Kramer is about to enter his 7th season at the helm at Idaho State. He abruptly, quote-unquote, retires. He was forced out. He was fired, basically swiftly. What was the domino that fell there? Rob Fennessy, who'd been the assistant head coach there at Idaho State since 2014 and was, a lot of people assumed was the heir apparent, well, he took the assistant head coach and wide receivers job at Northern Iowa for Mark Farley. He had that job for 6 days. In the meantime, Mike Kramer was forced to retire, and former athletic director Jeff Tingey brought Rob Fennessy back in. Jeff Tingey had a plan all along to have Rob Fennessy be the guy who came after Mike Kramer. And why did he want that? Because of Rob Fennessy's ties to Montana. And when Rob Fennessy took that job, he said, hey, I learned everything that I know from Bobby Houck, and I want our program to exemplify the same ethics, the same values, the same personality, the same identity as what Montana was in the 2000s. That's all great and fine and dandy, and it's an admirable thing, especially when you're a guy that worked as the offensive coordinator on 7 straight Big Sky title teams. It's going to be a fascinating dynamic, though, because I don't know if Rob Fennessy ever expected to actually have Bobby Houck back at Montana and then have to play against him. How do you handle that situation?
The other thing that we haven't covered here, Coulter, because you went through all the other positions, but you did not talk about quarterback.
Well, that's the other thing, and I want to get into Matt Struck a little bit, too.
Matt Struck's outstanding, but he's not Dalton Snead.
Remains to be seen, because here's the thing. We only have two games and 1.5 quarters of film on Matt Struck ever since high school.
And it's very good.
So if you want to know, I mean, Matt Struck, he's from a tiny town in Oregon, didn't get recruited out of high school, really. He went to Riverside Community College. And you say, okay, well, how does a guy get out of a community college? How does a guy get out of a California JC unless he's really productive? Well, at Riverside Community College, we've talked about Travis Johnson's saga at Montana State. Travis Johnson was at Oregon. He broke his foot. He ends up losing the starting job to Dakota Prukop. Then all of a sudden, he ends up losing the starting job to Justin Herbert. He can't climb back up the depth chart. He goes to Riverside Community College, thinks he's going to start. All of a sudden, Victor Viramontes, who's the California State Player of the Year, who then committed to Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, decommitted and went to play at Minnesota for P.J. Fleck. He doesn't like Fleck. He transfers in ahead of both Travis Johnson and Matt Struck. So Matt Struck was actually the 3rd-string quarterback at Riverside Community College. No stats from his college career. None. I actually wanted to text Mike Fariner and ask him, how did you guys have the evaluation on a guy that doesn't have any game film? Obviously, they went to a camp or practice and saw him and liked him, but that's a bold move to take a guy who has no college game film. So then Matt Struck comes out and he throws for over 400 yards against Western Colorado, and last week he threw 343 yards and 6 touchdowns against Portland State. But we don't know. He's been outstanding, but the offense is outstanding. And that's you're right. He's not Dalton Sneed.
And who has he played against is the other part of it.
Well, totally. Portland State's defense is pretty. The worst game of Dalton Sneed's career came against Portland State. Straight up, point blank period. Dalton Sneed completed 1 of 12 passes in the first half last year against Portland State. And Matt Struck just lit that defense straight, lit them up. So you're not going out on a limb by saying Dalton Sneed's better than Matt Struck. It's probably true. But what I'm saying is, for their offense, Matt Struck could be incredibly special. It remains to be seen. We don't have a sample size because, like you said, they haven't played very many challenging opponents, and we don't really know.
Well, here's the thing. It is not only is it not out on a limb, it is a fact that Dalton Sneed is better than Matt Struck at this very moment, period, because he's done it. And Matt Struck has been around for 2 seconds, but those 2 seconds have been very, very good. And he deserves, that's the thing that people need to understand, because they're not going to know who this guy is. And you need to know he's a very good player and has been very productive in the time that he's had. He's also going to be going up against a defense that he has not seen before in the University of Montana Grizzlies, and it's going to be a major change for him. That said, I expect him and that offense, which is very talented, to score on Saturday. They're going to put some points on the board for Idaho State, and I think that this is a team that is good. So I am giving them their due, but I am just saying that Matt Struck ain't Dalton Sneed. That's just it.
Idaho State's offense is beautiful in its simplicity. They're going to pound you with inside zone and counter over and over and over again. When you start to creep up, bombs. That's all they do. They throw bombs. Mitch Guller, this is an incredible stat. Mitch Guller has 134 catches in his career, which his career high for catches in a season is only 62, and they had 36 and 36. So 36, 36, 62. No crazy catch numbers. In those years, he had more than 800 yards the first 2 years and then had 1,269 yards last year. On 134 catches, he's averaging 19.9 yards per catch for his career. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's 20 yards per reception forever. Remarkable.
And Mikey Dean might be one of the most entertaining players I've ever seen. He's the Jerry Louis McGee of the Big Sky that's not at Montana.
Yeah.
He's significantly smaller than Jerry Louis McGee. And he also might be straight up deadline speed faster. That's an insane thing. I mean, he's 5'5", 150 pounds. That's what they list him at. You're not going to find a college football player anywhere in Division I that's that small.
Yeah.
The kid had full ride track offers all over the country. He's a California state champion in the 100 meters. Think about how fast your legs have to move to run a 10.6 when you're 5'5".
I can't.
He also, though, had the second best pole vault mark in the nation at 15.8 when he was in high school. The kid can long jump 24 feet. He's an absolutely ridiculous athlete. He just happens to be tiny. But him and Guller combined, I mean, you got the 6'3" guy who's fast and has unbelievable jumping ability and unbelievable hands. And then you have the tiny little 5'6" guy over here who's fast as lightning. It's a great combination when all you really are trying to do is push the tempo, and stretch the field. And that's what makes Idaho State dangerous on offense.
Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Let's shift into the Montana State game. They head to San Luis Obispo to take on Cal Poly. And Cal Poly coming off a win, 24-21 over Southern Utah in a game that was played in a tornado, wrapped up in a storm, wrapped up in a post-apocalyptic day in Cedar City. So it was a weird day, but a day that nonetheless Cal Poly came out on top of. The Cats are 0-2 in their history on the road at San Luis Obispo, which is pretty remarkable. That was in 2014 and 2005. That said,
it's crazy that Montana has played Cal Poly so much and has played in San Luis Obispo so much. It's because both Joe Glenn and Bobby Houck wanted to play Cal Poly early because it's a great test. If you play Cal Poly first, that's exactly when you want to play them. And Bobby Houck used to do that all the time. Let's play Cal Poly first, because then we can spend all fall camp getting ready for the triple option, which then in turn gets you ready from a toughness standpoint, from a tackling standpoint, and then you don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. The triple option is so challenging when you just played Northern Arizona. You know what I mean? When you play them first. But it's interesting that you said that. They've only played San Luis Obispo twice.
And, I mean, and we know the struggles that Montana historically had with Cal Poly, and Montana State, at least on the road, has as well. That said, it's only two-game sample size, and this is a whole group of new everything for Montana State, and outside of the coach, new for Cal Poly as well. This is a game that Montana State looks to me built to play, particularly defensively, when you know it's going to be physical and you know you're going to have to make a ton of tackles and you know that you're going to have to be, gap sound and do your assignment and then go stick your nose in it play after play after play. But Montana's front seven in particular very capable of that. And on the flip side, Montana, it is not clear that this isn't just the triple option versus the triple option. Montana State is running back there with 4 or 5 quarterbacks, catching the ball under center. We have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the amount or even whom will play the quarterback position when it comes to throwing the ball, whether that's going to be Tucker Rovig or Casey Bauman or somebody else or nobody else. So that's all an open conversation. But, the juicy matchup on this thing, when you just look at it on the face of it, is the Cal Poly offense versus the Montana State defense. And this feels like two teams and two styles that just want to get in the trenches and go to war against each other.
Absolutely. And I find this fascinating because Montana State has been elite in certain areas defensively, and they have been banged up in other areas. But this is a game where I don't think that those guys that have been hindered are going to be necessary. Munchie Filer practiced this week. He's been out all year.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you this. Do you need him or do you not? Because here's the thing. You're playing the triple option, but J.J. Koski's averaging 22 yards per catch. J.J. Koski's third in the league in receiving yards per game.
Who will be on with us later this week.
And Jalen Hamler, the quarterback, is a much better thrower than anybody that they've had since they joined the Big Sky. They're throwing for about 175 yards a game, which is twice as much as they usually throw for.
Correct.
And almost all of them are down-the-field shots to Koski. So on one side, you could say, okay, we don't want to play Filer this week because we don't want to get banged up against the triple option. On the other side, you say, hey, you got no responsibility when it comes to the triple option. You identify J.J. Koski in the pregame, you follow him around until the final buzzer sounds, and that's it. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it comes down to the same thing that it always comes down to. If a guy is healthy enough to go, wants to go, and you feel good about that, then you play him. Limiting a guy and that, I get it, but on one hand and yet on the other hand, look, man, if Munchie Filer's back there covering Koski and all of a sudden Cal Poly, which they're going to need to do Saturday, breaks one, finds a gap, is deceptive in the triple option or whatever, you got to go make that tackle. Period. You got to go track that guy down and get physical and make the play. And, if you can do that without injuring yourself further and so forth, then play. And if that is going to be a problem, then I don't think you go out there. It is an upper body injury, right? It's like a shoulder or arm for Munchie Filer. So in terms of his running ability, obviously that's not compromised, and that's something that you could use greatly if you're Montana State to stick with Koski. But unless you're really ready to go, and especially against that team, man, because you are at some point, you're just going to have to make a hard tackle against Cal Poly. It doesn't matter who you are, what position you're playing. You're going to have to make that play at some point, and probably more than once, even as a corner. So, are you prepared to do that? And if you're not, then you can't play in this football game.
I also think we talked about this a lot, but there's so much of a narrative coming out of the offseason always. We have so much depth at this spot. We have so much depth at this spot. It's so hard for guys to ever actually get on the field. The Grizz have so much receiver depth, right? Gabe Solser's unbelievably talented. He didn't even touch the ball last game. Not once did he touch the ball last game, I don't think. So it's hard to break through, right? The Cats have talked extensively about how they have trust in these 6 inside linebackers in their 3-4 scheme. By name, they've named Michael Jobinchak, Walker Cozy, Nolan Askelson, on down the line, Walker Cozy. They've named Josh Hill. All 6 of those guys have gotten reps in games. To me, though, when you're playing this style, I think you got to maximize that depth and, in turn, do not play Troy Anderson on defense.
Yeah.
Because, Troy Anderson's not going to be right until he's right, period.
Yeah.
It's a conspicuous situation because he's actually re-injuring. I shouldn't say re-injuring. He keeps having that ankle flare up on him because of offense. Because like you said, how else are you going to tackle the Minotaur? you can't get him on the ground unless you go low.
Yeah.
But he's going to keep tweaking it. I don't know. I think that's another interesting fold. But when you talk about Montana State had a great scheme last year to stop the triple option. I thought they did really well against it until Joe Prothero got going. And then Joe Prothero, when he gets going, all of a sudden he ripped off a 55-yard touchdown. He ends up with almost 200 yards. But still, Montana State was able to mitigate it pretty darn well. The other interesting tidbit to throw in here, because I know we got to get out, is Jalen Hamler. He's from Lawndale, California. He went to Lawndale High School. He was the heir apparent to Chris Murray at Lawndale High School. Chris Murray, former Montana State starting quarterback, was the starter there for 2 years before Jalen Hamler. But Jalen Hamler throws the ball a lot better than Chris Murray. But it's amazing, though, given Jalen Hamler's athleticism, that Lawndale had back-to-back quarterbacks of that level of elusiveness. I mean, because Jalen Hamler can really run it as well. So I'm sure they were pretty fun to watch in high school for a 4-year period of time.
You and I, Coulter, were in Bozeman against when the Cats played Cal Poly last season,
right?
And it was a physical football game. Man. We were on the sideline for that thing, and Joe Prothero running at you for an entire game. A lot of dirt and a lot of black and blue after that one, but a win nonetheless for Montana State, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. Quick break. On the other side, it's time for Wing It Wednesday. 329-1899. Give us a call. 329-1899. That phone number. We got some trivia questions for you. These are Coulter's questions this time. So Coulter's got some trivia questions for you. We'll see if we can't get you some wings and maybe even a shirt from the Desperado Sports Tavern. 329-1899. Call right now. Hey, it is fall. It is the 2nd of October, and your gutters, they need cleaning. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. That's who you got to go to. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Cleaning your gutters, it's a bummer. They're messy, they're wet, they stink, and getting up on that ladder, maybe getting on your roof, it's a recipe for a broken leg. Don't do it. Get MissoulaGutterCleaning.com to come in there, help you out, take care of all the issues that you have. They are insured. They are competent. They're good at what they do. They're even good people. They're nice. They're fun to be with. Okay? And when the job is done, they will give you $20 to your favorite brewery or coffee shop. How about that? A gift card from someplace, a present back to you after the gutters get clean. Let Missoula Gutter Cleaning take care of your gutters for you. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here, and I'm with Josh from the Advocates Injury Attorneys. Josh, if our listeners have been injured in an accident, how can you help?
We're here to help you after a car accident by negotiating with insurance companies, recovering lost wages if you have any, and even getting you into a rental car if you need one. Call us today for a free consultation, and we'll get started helping you right away.
If you need help, get a hold of the Advocates. Call Josh at 640-4444 or online at montanaadvocates.com. You deserve an advocate.
Now, the Montana Club's happy hour features BOGO beverages. Our expertly mixed cocktails, microbrews, domestics, and wine are buy one, get one free 7 days a week from 3 to 5:30. Stop in on Friday for Montini night. Sip on a top shelf martini for only $6, 5:30 to close. When you've worked hard all day and are ready to relax, the Montana Club has got you covered with BOGO happy hour 7 days a week, 3 to 5:30 on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
The big skies are open. Go wild with Opportunity Reward Checking. Go ahead, jump, dance, shout. Opportunity Reward Checking will make you do that. Go wild when you get your 1% cash back on qualified debit card purchases. It all starts with an Opportunity Reward Checking account from Opportunity Bank. Visit a branch today to get started. Then go wild and spend your 1% cash back however you want. Go wild with Reward Checking from Opportunity Bank. Some restrictions may apply. Member FDIC.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Missoula Parks and Recreation invites families to the 19th Annual Fall Family Festival from 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park, Saturday, October 19th. We'll be celebrating the season with wheelchair-accessible hayrides, fall-themed crafts, face painting, cider pressing, music, food, and fun for the whole family. This is a fundraiser for Parks and Rec, with all proceeds benefiting youth recreation programming. Join us October 19th, 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park for the Fall Family Festival. Details at missoulaparks.org.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon. Ryan and Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here is some sports news for you. As high school football begins the second half of the regular season, the contenders and the pretenders are becoming more clear. In this week's Treasure State Media Poll, Billings West held steady at number 1 in Class AA with 16 of the 22 first-place votes. The Bears won 4 straight games entering last week's bye. Ute is the only 5-0 team in AA after beating Sentinel 39-36 on a last-second field goal last Thursday in Missoula. The Bulldogs received the other 6 first-place votes. Missoula Sentinel, Helena High, and Bozeman are each 4-1 and rounded out the top 5 in the AA poll. 2 other one-loss teams out of the top 5, Helena Capital at 4-1 and the Hellgate Knights at 3-1.
In Class A, Billings Central 4-0 and number 1 after receiving 13 of 19 first-place votes. We voted them number 1. Hamilton bounced back from its first loss of the season, a 1-point defeat at Dillon that dropped the Bronx from the top spot for the first time. But Hamilton beat Frenchtown last week, and they come in at number 2. Dillon number 3, Frenchtown number 4, and Miles City number 5.
In Class B, Fairfield is the unanimous number 1 for the 4th straight week. The defending state champs are 4-0, a mark that includes a win over number 5, Missoula Loyola. Manhattan, which gave Loyola its other loss, is number 2 this week, while Eureka and Red Lodge are 3rd and 4th. Fairview is the number 1 team in Class C.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Wow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. That is, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go
Time
capture
to
this
do a
moment and hope it don't.
Wing It Wednesday. Do some trivia for you. Leonard Fournette, the younger brother of Leonard Fournette, also a running back at LSU, no mas, leaving the football team. How about that, Coulter? Huh? Leonard Fournette out.
I love Leonard Fournette.
It's Leonard Fournette. The story is really more of a story on account of Leonard Fournette.
How about Leonard Fournette last weekend?
Pretty good.
When his ankle's healthy, he is grown man.
He is a grown man. Well, wasn't he like the 4th overall? Top 10 for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
right. No, I get it.
Besides Adrian Peterson, Leonard Fournette is the best college running back of the last 20 years. It's Adrian Peterson, Leonard Fournette, and then everybody else. It is, man. Leonard Fournette is unbelievable.
Christian McCaffrey's a pretty great college
Come on. He's not even the best running back from Stanford in the last 20 years. Bryce Love and Toby Gerhart are both better. Not in the pros, but in college they were.
Toby Gerhart was not better than Christian McCaffrey at Stanford.
Significantly more productive.
False.
Significantly more productive.
It's Tootell and Nuanez, but really it's only Tootell. 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live to you from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Yes, thank you. 4th overall in the 2017 draft. And outstanding. I don't know. On a rush for the most yards in the history of the sport. Pretty good. Christian McCaffrey. Okay, let's go to the phones. Yes.
Is that true? He had the most all-purpose yards. I do not think he had the all-time rushing record.
We'll find out. Ross is on the phone to do some trivia with us. Ross, how you doing?
I'm not too bad. What's up, guys?
Doing great, Ross. Thanks for calling in. Get some wings if we can for you. These are Coulter's questions here that we're leading off with, so I don't know how it's going to go for you, but we'll give it our best here. You got 3 questions. If you get 2 of them right, you got yourself a basket of wings. If you get all 3, you get yourself a shirt as well. And if you need help on any of these, I am your lifeline, all right?
Deal. What's up, Coulter?
What's up, Ross?
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tummy likey. Tummy want wingy.
Okay, now there was no. I mean, this sounds like we got buddies here. You didn't email. You're not trying to get halvesies of wings out of this thing, are you?
No,
Coulter?
I only just recognized Ross's voice from calling one other time, and I asked him the most difficult questions in Tootell Nuanez history, all about men's tennis, And there's no one that I thought in the world that was going to get these questions, and he went 3 for 3. So good to have Ross back because I have really hard questions again.
Oh boy, let's hear them. What are they themed today?
They're themed questions. These are about baseball. These are about specifically the Los Angeles Dodgers as the MLB playoffs start to begin to get underway. So number 1, when was the last time the Dodgers won the World Series?
Man, Kirk Gibson. Oh man, what year was Kirk Gibson? 87. Ryan, what do you got? You got this one on the tip of your tongue?
Let's do a lifeline on this. So you're right. I think Kirk Gibson, Oral Hershiser, that's the club. I want to say 88 is the number on this. By the way, Ross, are we on you got us in like a speakerphone? Or are you inside a porta potty? What's going on here? We got a lot of feedback here on this thing.
I apologize for that. It's the former, not the latter.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, my best guess on this, Ross, is 88. I will tell you that it is within a year, maybe 2 at the most of that, but I'm not sitting here and going for sure, pound the counter, it's 88, but that's my best guess for you.
It's just 87. We'll go 88. That sounds good. You're older than I am.
All right.
1988 is correct. Oral Hershiser, the MVP of that World Series, the last time the Dodgers won, almost. Actually, I guess now over 30 years ago.
Yeah,
amazing.
And they've been in the last 2 or 3.
They've been in the last 2.
2 for sure. Yep. All right. And what are you on the Dodger bandwagon here? Are you joining our buddy Riley Corcoran here?
David just told me to pick a National League team to ask trivia questions about, and that was the only one I was certain was in the playoffs.
Okay.
Like the Marlins have one of them, though, you know?
Right, yes. The Florida Marlins have indeed won 2 World Series since the Los Angeles Dodgers have. Amazing. Okay, number 2. Between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Los Angeles Dodgers, how many World Series have the Dodgers won in their history?
Not going to give me one of these big old windows, like within 5 or something? Come on. I don't know. 11.
11. Big number. What do you get? What is it, Coulter?
6.
Ooh. He's within 5. He's within the window he gave himself on that. Okay. 6. Because didn't the Dodgers went back-to-back, right? 87, 88?
No, they did not.
2 in a row?
They did not.
They didn't?
They did not.
I'll be doggone. All right.
Okay, so here you go,
3.
though. Of those 6 World Series, how many have been won as the Brooklyn Dodgers, and how many have been won as the Los Angeles Dodgers?
I don't know. I will go 4 Brooklyn to LA.
Say it one more time.
4 Brooklyn to LA. I don't know.
This is really hard, actually. I actually don't think I could have even answered this. I asked this as a question because I thought it was going to be more on the Brooklyn side as well. But in fact, it's the complete opposite way around. The Brooklyn Dodgers were the perennial bridesmaids. They could never quite break through, and then they finally did when they won the World Series in 1955. But then shortly thereafter, they moved to Los Angeles, and even the 1959 World Series was in L.A. when the Dodgers won that. That was, I think, their second year in L.A. Then they won again in 63. They won again in 65, and then again in 81. So 5 of the 6 Dodgers titles.
Man.
In LA.
The Brooklyn Dodgers were kind of like the Vikings of back then.
No, because these Dodgers were at least making it to the World Series. The Vikings don't even lose the Super Bowl. They don't even get there.
Ross, it's a good joke at the end. You were within the window. You gave yourself. You got one right. We're still going to give you a whip basket, okay? You enjoy your wings over there at the Desperado, and thanks for calling in, okay?
See you next time.
There you go. Ross.
Okay.
Giving it his best go here. Not too bad, all things considered. He did a nice job. Ron Dane, the all-time rushing leader, Wisconsin, did not do great in the NFL. 71-25 all-time. Tony Dorsett, number 2.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is not even. Christian McCaffrey
is all-purpose yards.
Christian McCaffrey is in fact the 138th all-time leading rusher in college football history with 3,992 yards.
Yeah, in a year.
No, he had one 2,000-yard season. Again, I mean, I'm only arguing productivity.
Well, go ahead.
Toby Gerhart was a better. He had Toby Gerhart and Bryce Love both had more single-season rushing yards than Christian McCaffrey's best season. Christian McCaffrey's a better and more diverse NFL player. He's a better and more complete back than those guys. Those guys were more productive than him in college.
Not more productive. Better. They ran the ball more. Not more productive.
Do you remember Toby Gerhart? I mean, he rushed.
Of course. He became a Minnesota Viking. One of the great picks, once again, of the Minnesota Vikings. Go up there and get Toby Gerhart to run behind Adrian Peterson.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Coulter, I feel like I had something else to talk to you about, but I can't think of it at the moment. It was something very, very... who are you rooting for in the World Series? Anybody?
Not the Yankees.
See, I'm rooting for the Yankees, I think.
So what? How? Stop.
Yeah.
Go home.
No.
Why?
Well, there's nobody that I care about.
But then there's only one thing that you should know. You shouldn't care about the Yankees.
I don't know.
The Yankees is like the easiest way out ever, man.
I like Aaron Boone, and I like Aaron Judge, and they're a likable crew. All this.
How? Who's likable on the Yankees?
Here's the thing.
Aaron Judge is not likable.
Everybody. What?
He doesn't have any personality whatsoever. He's completely nondescript.
He's got a giant gap in his front teeth.
Oh,
He's my favorite guy
Here we go.
ever.
He's on the Michael Strahan team.
Strahan, Madonna, Letterman, Judge, Tootell. Mark it, man. Let's go.
Everybody on that list but Judge has definitely more personality than Aaron Judge.
You know, he does not have the most personality. I'm not going to argue that with you. He is, however, a child. I mean, what's he, 22? I mean, he's giant, but he's a kid. So, give him some time. But here's the thing. Everybody's,
He's actually older than you think because he was in the minors for a long time. He's 27.
The evil empire and the whole thing with the Yankees and the money and the money's, that's fine. That's real. But ever since, since their last World Series in 2005 or something like that? I mean, it's been a long time since the Yankees have won. They are not let's put it like this. Baseball has evolved to the point where simply going out and buying your World Series is no longer real. I mean, that's no.
But the Dodgers have played in 2 straight with the highest payroll in the league, and the Red Sox had the second highest payroll in the league last year to win it.
How many times have the Yankees gone out and paid all the money to all the dudes and not won it?
Right, but they still get in the playoffs, and only a few teams in baseball actually get in the playoffs.
Well, they've missed the playoffs.
I mean, right now,
a fair amount.
So the Red Sox are in the playoffs, are they?
I believe so.
Okay, so they have the highest payroll in baseball.
Actually, no, I don't think the Red Sox are in the playoffs.
Red Sox are not in the playoffs. Cubs are not in the playoffs. Those are the 2 highest payrolls in baseball.
Yep.
But then you got the Yankees, the Nationals, the Astros, the Dodgers. I mean, they're all buying their way in.
But they're not necessarily buying their way in. I mean, look, having the highest payroll in baseball that doesn't do, market sharing in the way that the NBA and the NFL do. Of course, there's always just going to be the richest teams. That's a reality, and those teams are going to have a decided advantage. That's fine. But it was once upon a time where you're just going to go out there and spend all the money, and it was going to be a guaranteed thing. The Royals won the World Series and went back to another World Series.
I understand. I'm just saying it's just a flawed system, and it makes me not like it just as much.
Okay. I like the Yankees this year. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Take a quick break. On the other side, we got to talk to Kevin Thompson. Kevin Thompson is the quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets. They have been one of the early sort of surprises, somewhat of a surprise, been playing very well, the Hornets have, and they opened their conference schedule after a bye last week with Eastern Washington. Kevin Thompson, outstanding quarterback for the Hornets. He joins us right after this.
Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula is like your paint doctor. They take the pain out of painting. Don't trust your home to anything less than professional PPG paints from Garden City Paint and Glass. Go to visualizecolors.com. Scan in your room photo to see what color combinations will look best before painting. That's visualizecolors.com, featuring professional PPG paints. Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula, across from the Southside McDonald's at 3217 Brooks.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. You know, we've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters. And you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com. Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here, and I'm with Josh of the Advocates Injury Attorneys. Josh, what are people left dealing with after an accident?
Well, quite a few things, actually. We see people that are in pain, they still need to get to work, they need to raise their kids, and now they have to take time to go see doctors and other healthcare providers. They're frustrated with working with the insurance companies and getting the runaround. We'll take on the burden of dealing with the insurance companies so you can get the best settlement possible and get back to your life.
Find your advocate online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers. You deserve an advocate.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Tootell and Nuanez. Listen to the podcast on the TuneIn Radio app or on iTunes, 1029ESPN.com.
Game of the week in the Big Sky Conference, Sacramento State, Eastern Washington. We got Sacramento State quarterback Kevin Thompson here with us. It is Tootell and Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Boys and girls, we got the new podcast, episode 2, coming out. FCS Speculators, a betting podcast. A couple of guests this week to talk about FCS games at the national level, and Coulter and I go through all the Big Sky games against the number, a couple of the national FCS games against the number, and even rapid fire a couple of FBS games against the number. Coulter, you went 5-2 last week, pretty good. I went 4-3, not as good, but still, ahead, above 500. That's good. So we're having some fun on the old podcast. So go ahead and check it out. FCS Speculators podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. We go now to the Rangich Brothers RV phone line. We welcome in the junior quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets. Sacramento State game of the week against Eastern Washington this week. Quarterback Kevin Thompson joining us. Kevin, thanks so much for taking the time out. How are you?
Yeah, no problem. I'm great. How you doing?
Doing outstanding. Thanks for asking.
Well, great. Thanks so much for being with us, Kevin. I want to ask you first and foremost about the new guy in charge of Sacramento State, Troy Taylor. He comes in with a great reputation, both locally, regionally, and all around the entire West Coast when it comes to both high school and college football. Well, what's it been like to play for Troy Taylor?
Oh, yeah, it's been great. Going back to what you first said about him being like a legend around this area, it's funny you say that. Right when he got hired, I'd kind of go out in public, and some people would see me, wearing the Sac State football gear, or they'd get word that I was on the football team. They just boom, right? Oh, Coach Troy Taylor, he's great. So he's really well known around this community, which is actually really great to have because people are really excited about Sac State football around here. And just it's been great working with him. It's definitely it's different offensively. It's different than anything I've done, but I think it's really creative and innovative, and it's a really fun system for a quarterback to play in. We're just really getting guys, and he's just finding ways to get guys in open spaces, and I just got to get them the ball and let them do their thing. But yeah, this offense, it's the most fun I've had playing football for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I want to take you back to that Arizona State game, and I know it was a close game and went Arizona State's way kind of late, but watching you play in that game and watching your offense go down in the desert and go against what is now, I think, a top 25 team in the country,
big
the
win
FBS
last week, yep.
Level. What was that like in that game? And even in a loss, did you draw confidence out of that because of the way that you guys played and really went toe-to-toe with Herm Edwards and the group down there at Arizona State?
No, yeah, they were a really talented team, and when we went down there, we were confident going in as well as coming out, but we thought we had a shot there, and they're a really good team, and we didn't execute as well as we wanted to. Our defense played lights out, but we just couldn't execute as consistently as we wanted to on offense. But definitely after the game, we had some confidence. We thought, if we just stay consistent and keep working hard and stay in the moment and take each day, work hard each day, then we got a shot to do something here, something special here. So that's just kind of been our mindset. Coach Taylor's been preaching it. Just focus on the day, focus on today. What do we got to do to get better today? As cliche as it sounds, that's really the most important, I think, aspect of building the championship team. What can you do today?
Kevin Thompson joining us. He's the quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets. They are 2-2. They had a bye last week in what was the first week of the conference schedule. So your first conference game now is coming up, and it's Eastern Washington. Of course, you would open with Eastern Washington. They're a team that's kind of had a little bit of up and down so far this year, but they're coming off a win. But you know that there's plenty of talent on that team. When you look into your crystal ball and look forward to the Eastern Washington Eagles this Saturday, what do you think about? What strikes you?
Yeah, they have those two losses, the one to Jacksonville State and the one to Idaho, but they're still a great team. Like they're a very talented team. Those two losses don't really take away from what they can do offensively and even defensively. They're really good up front from what we've seen, and so it's going to be a challenge for sure. But I think we're ready for it.
A couple years ago, you guys had a pretty good season, 7 wins and knocking on the door of the playoffs. And you come back last year with a bunch of returning starters and a bunch of guys that were headlining type players in the league, yourself included. Also guys like Elijah Dotson, who was one of the only guys that actually was able to stay healthy amongst your guys' premier players. But so many guys on the defensive side, namely George Obina, Dre Terrell, Darren Schultz. I know all those guys went down, and yourself, you got hurt too. So last year, probably a really disappointing year for you guys. But then in the offseason, you get granted not 1 but 2 extra years of eligibility, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So first of all, take us through just what was it like last year going through all that, but also then coming out on the other side knowing you still have 2 years left. How'd that process work? And that must be pretty it must give you a lot of optimism knowing that you do have a couple years left of college football.
Yeah, absolutely. Last season, it was tough. It was really disappointing. In the moment when we were going through the season, it was tough, and a lot of people were down, pretty down on themselves, especially the way it finished out. But just looking back on that, I mean, those are great experiences. Going through tough times, losing. If you can try to turn it into a good experience and a learning experience, then it can actually be a positive. So that's kind of the way I've looked at it. It's motivation. It was a good experience for us to kind of go through that. Like we had a lot of hype going into the season, just didn't live up to it. So, you learn that stuff really doesn't matter, especially in this conference when, teams can go from the bottom to the top just like that. And as far as, learning about the appeal and doing the appeal for the medical hardship and getting those 2 years, it's been a blessing for me. It's just kind of given me the opportunity to pursue a master's degree as well as, get to play 4 full years of college football, which is, what I wanted to do. in the first place when I started my career. It's been a bit of a different journey than most, but it's one I've been very thankful for, and to just be able to have the opportunity to have these 2 years is huge.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. You've already got your bachelor's degree. I mean, you're graduated, man, and you've still got 2 years of football to play. Get a PhD, man. What are you wasting your time for? Go do the whole thing.
That's the running joke around here. I tell people they're going to have to call me doctor by the time I get out of here.
That's right. Van Wilder, the quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets, joining us. Hey, Kevin, want to ask, because maybe a lot of people may not know this, but originally, when you were coming out of Riverside High School there in Auburn, you went to UNLV at the time when Bobby Houck, who is now the Montana head coach, was also around there at UNLV and coaching. Now, what was that process like of being recruited by Coach Houck and starting your career there in Las Vegas?
Oh, it was great. It was great meeting and developing a relationship with Coach Houck. You know, I'm very appreciative of him and Coach Rosie, the OC there in Montana, just for giving me the opportunity to, you know, even have a shot at playing Division I college football. That was my first offer coming out of high school, like 4 games into my senior season. I had no idea what my future, you know, with football was going to be going into my senior season. I was really just focused on, you know, having fun and trying to win. But they called me out of the blue and offered me a scholarship. And, you know, I'm forever going to be, you know, thankful for Coach Houck and for just giving me that opportunity, because it kind of put me in the position I am in today. Obviously, I wanted to, you know, play my career. I saw a good opportunity at the time at UNLV and wanted to play my whole career there and do something special there. But, you know, and I ended up here, and this has been a great place for me, and I'm very thankful for it. But yeah, just, you know, Coach Houck's a great guy. He really connects with the players. So I think he's doing some good things over at Montana. So, you know, I'm happy for him. And, yeah, I'll always have a good relationship with Coach Houck.
A lot of small world crossover when you talk about all this, because Bobby Houck originally recruited you to UNLV. He originally recruited Dalton Sneed, Montana's quarterback, to UNLV. And then he has a winding path through Fort Scott Community College all the way back to Missoula. You're from Auburn.
Yep.
Gresh Jensen, former Montana quarterback from Auburn. I don't know if you guys had any crossover, because did you have some crossover there with Gresh too?
No, I didn't know him. I never actually played against him. He was a bit younger than me, and
right.
That school he went to was in a little bit different division at the time. But I was definitely aware of who he was.
Gresh is not getting his master's degree right now. Let's start there. Okay, he's behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, either way. What's just your gauge generally right now on Sac State? Because you guys have had an interesting schedule, playing 2 FBS opponents, playing well against Arizona State and Fresno State, but both losses. You hang 77 in your opener against a Southern Oregon team that you're, quite frankly, probably supposed to beat. But then you guys go 50 goose egg against Northern Colorado. That was a shocking result. I know Northern Colorado's struggling a little bit this year, but they did have a breakthrough last week, beating Idaho.
Yeah. But
50-0 against anybody is an unbelievable.
It's a big number.
It's an unbelievable score. But then you have a bye to start off conference play. So just overall, just the general vibe of the team. Well, where do you think you guys are at? What's your enthusiasm level like going into this Eastern Washington game?
Yeah, I think we're all very confident. I think the defense is playing really well this season, we feel like every time we step out on the field that we're going to have a chance to win the game. And I think, you know, you kind of have to have that attitude, you know, to play football. If you don't go out there trying to win every game, you know, why are you out there? But I think, you know, we're just trying to just take it 1 week at a time, obviously. But we're just having a lot of fun, and I have a lot of confidence in my teammates. You know, I think everyone's doing really well, and we all just love going out there and playing with each other and practicing every day. It's just been a lot of fun. So we're just gonna, you know, take that confidence, take that love for the game into every week, and see how it plays out.
Kevin Thompson, quarterback of the Sacramento State Hornets, previewing the game of the week in the Big Sky Conference. We'll try and do that every week around here. This week it's Sacramento State versus Eastern Washington. Kevin, thanks so much for taking the time out, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Tell you what, Sacramento State after this week, Montana State and Montana respectively, all of the Montana fans are going to get a treat watching Kevin Thompson play. I mean, he is as good an athlete at the position as there is. Great thrower of the football, really mobile, big, strong. Really like Kevin Thompson as a player, man. Really do. So we look forward to seeing him play.
I said this on the FCS Speculators podcast, which you can check out here later on this week when we're picking this game. But
later this evening.
The thing is that Sac State's got to prove it, but they got a golden opportunity to prove it, like you said. Eastern Washington, Montana State. You go 3-0, all of a sudden you're in the straight driver's seat. You go 2-1, you're in the mix. You go 1-2, okay. You go 0-3, you're already out. So the season right now, the next 3 weeks for Sac State.
Hour 1 in the books. If you missed anything in the first hour, listen on the podcast. Podcast available on all your favorite podcasting platforms, including the TuneIn Radio app, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, among others. Check it out. The podcast available thanks to the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Boys and girls, it's time to call. 329-1899. 329-1899, the phone number. And we're going to do a Wing It Wednesday right now. Coulter's here. I'm here. I got questions for you about the MLB postseason and home runs, especially as it pertains to the MLB postseason, a little bit of betting stuff as well. 329-1899. Give us a call. You want Wings to the Desperado. We'll do that next.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, who pump it up.
There's two things that can really stress a person out. That's hunger and not enough time. Town Pump can help you out with both. They've got your meal waiting for you. 4-piece chicken and JoJo's with ranch, only $5.99. And Modelo 12-pack cans, $11.99. Stop by Town Pump today.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
The fish are done biting, the boat's all packed away, and it's time to get back to what really matters, watching sports and drinking beer. Whether your letters are NHL, NBA, NCAA, MLB, catch your game at the Desperado Sports Tavern, Missoula's sports headquarters. With 32 HD TVs, there's no way you'll miss a minute of every touchdown, three-pointer, or seventh-inning stretch this fall. Wash away last week's loss with a cold pint from local Montana brewery, or crack open a classic if that's more your thing. Cheer on your team at the Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell, across from the Y.
It's our favorite time of the year at Holiday. It's coffee time. And what better way to celebrate than with 99-cent any size hot coffee for a limited time? Choose from all of our 100% Arabica bean coffees, sustainable rainforest house blend or Nicaraguan, 100% Colombian, or dark roast. Any size is only 99 cents. So make time to celebrate coffee time at Holiday. Any blend, any size hot coffee or cappuccino is only 99 cents, but only for a limited time. And only at Holiday.
If you are hurt or disabled, you may be entitled to benefits from an insurance company or Social Security. I'm Chris Helmer, an attorney at Clark Fork Law Offices. Our Missoula firm specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. There are many unknowns when injured or disabled. The other side is fighting hard. You should too. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana. KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
As high school football begins the second half of the regular season, the contenders and pretenders are becoming more clear. Hi, how are you? Here's some sports news. In this week's Treasure State Media Poll, Billings West held steady at number 1 in Class AA with 16 of the first 22 place votes. The Bears won 4 straight games entering last week's bye, viewed as the only 5-0 team in AA after beating Sentinel 39-36 on a last-second field goal Thursday night at Missoula. The Bulldogs received the other 6 first-place votes. Missoula Sentinel, Helena High, and Bozeman are each 4-1 and round out the top 5, while Helena Capital and Hellgate are both just one-loss teams, but outside the top 5. Helena Capital 4-1, Hellgate 3-1.
In Class A, Billings Central 4-0 and number 1 after receiving 13 of 19 first-place votes. Hamilton bounced back from its first loss of the season, a 1-point defeat at Dillon that dropped the Brocs from the top spot in the poll for the first time this year. Hamilton beat Frenchtown and comes in at number 2. Dillon number 3, Frenchtown number 4, Miles City number 5.
In Class B, Fairfield is the unanimous number 1 for the 4th straight week. The defending state champions are 4-0, a mark that includes a win over number 5, Missoula Loyola. Loyola has its other loss to number 2 in this week's poll, Manhattan, while Eureka and Red Lodge are 3rd and 4th, respectively. Also, Fairview is the number 1 team in Class C. Finally, last night, Milwaukee lost to Washington 4-3 in the NL wildcard.
This ESPN Sports Center is presented by Clark Fork Law.
Said there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay. I got a mouth to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. I know I can't slow down. I can't hold back, though, you know.
It's time for another Wing It Wednesday. Trivia around here on a Wednesday afternoon as we launch into hour number 2 on the show. Great to be with you on a spectacular Wednesday afternoon. Tootell and Nuanez broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. If you would like to listen live on the stream, you can go to our website, 1029ESPN.com, and listen live. On the Listen Live tab, the stream brought to us by Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. If you want to pick up your phone and call, you can do just that. 329-1899, the phone number. All guests join us via the Rangich Brothers RV phone line. We go to the phones and welcome in Carrie to the show for a Wing It Wednesday. Carrie, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Doing excellent, Carrie. Thank you very much. Now, are you a big baseball guy, Carrie? We got some MLB stuff here for you.
I am not. No, I like to play softball, but I don't know a lot about baseball.
Okay, great. You don't know baseball. Coulter hates baseball. This should go great. Here we go.
Boy, some chicken wings really hit the spot. Tell me likey. Tell me what wingy.
Okay, here we go, Carrie. Question number 1. There are 9 teams left. Okay, 9 teams left in the MLB playoffs after Milwaukee was eliminated last night. What team is the Vegas betting favorite, though, to win the World Series this year? Also known potentially as sort of the best team in baseball on the season. Who's
That's
the
a tough
favorite?
question.
Yeah, I mean,
there's 3.
You know, I hate to start off on the wrong foot, but I don't want to use my lifeline right away.
It's a real conundrum, my friend.
Right. I'm going to go with Houston.
Carrie, it's the Houston Astros. Very well done. The Houston Astros are plus 210 to win the World Series, followed by the Los Angeles Dodgers at 275.
I would love to know.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to let you ask your next questions first, and then I'll ask this because I don't want to. This might blow one of your questions.
Okay. Very good, Carrie. Okay, question number 2. The New York Yankees, the team I'm rooting for. Outstanding power lineup with Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Edwin Encarnacion. But did you know this? They are actually just the team with the second most home runs this year, team-wise. Second most home runs in Major League Baseball.
Also known as the second most home runs in the history of Major League Baseball
The
as well.
team who had the first most home runs in the history of Major League Baseball is what team? Who they happen to be playing in the, well, I won't tell you.
See, you gave it away, but I don't know it. I'm going to ask the lifeline on this one.
Coulter?
The Minnesota Twins hit the most home runs in the history of Major League Baseball, more than the New York Yankees. I think the Yankees were in at about 305, and I'm not sure what the Twins got to, but 510 more than the Yankees.
And they're about to play?
Do you accept that answer as the Twins being the number 1 home run hitting team in baseball this season?
I definitely do.
You are absolutely right, Carrie, for that. And you have got rewards for the Desperado Sports Tavern. Coulter, you are so close and so far. The Yankees, 306 home runs,
close.
so very, very close. The Twins, 307. 1 more home run for the Twins. And did you know this? This is for everybody. This is for free. The 4 most home run hittingest teams in the history of Major League Baseball hit them in the year of our Lord 2019. It's a juiced baseball, boys and girls.
Here's the most amazing. There's two statistical outliers that just display this so fully. First of all, it's not as if the Yankees had multiple guys hitting 50 home runs or even 40 home runs. I think the most home runs on their team was 38. But they had 15 guys hit 12 or more home runs. 13. You only start 9 in baseball.
It's impossible.
The other thing that shows you how much the game has changed, though, is it used to be if you hit 35 home runs, you were money in the bank that you were driving in 110, 115 because you're probably going to hit another 35 doubles.
Right.
I mean, the home run to RBI proportionality, like those guys back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, even all the way up through the 50s and 60s, if you were getting into the 40 home run range, you were probably driving in 140, even 150 runs. Now, the leading RBI guy on the Yankees, only 102 RBI. No 100 RBI guys on the whole roster, even though they hit 306 home runs. Shows you just how many singles shots and solo home runs and two-run home runs that they hit.
It's unbelievable. All right, last question for you, Kerry. Who do the mighty Yankees play in the first round of the ALDS?
Minnesota.
You are correct. I wrote the question, and then I started to answer the question in the thing. You caught on to it, and you deserve it. Kerry, excellently done by you. 3 questions, all correct. You got yourself wings to the Desperado and a shirt to go with it. Give your information there to David in the back, and we'll make sure to get you your stuff, all right?
Thanks, boys.
Very well done. How about that ALDS matchup? 13 home runs between them? I mean, good gracious. Let's just see it happen. Yanks Twinkies, round 1, into this.
It's just so interesting because when baseball used to be my favorite, and when the steroid scandal hit, it really broke my heart. And Barry Bonds is my all-time favorite athlete. And just reading all the Balco stuff and listening to all the podcasts and everything, it's just like, man, this guy's insane. And not only that, but he's juicing himself out of his mind. But then you realize everybody's juicing out of their mind. So then when they kind of cleaned up the sport, but then nobody was hitting home runs, and I lied to myself and said, well, I just don't really like baseball anymore because they don't hit bombs like they used to. Well, now they do again, but it's in such a different fashion. Like that stat I just said, the fact that they hit 306 home runs and they only have one guy on their team that has 100 RBI, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Because to me, now we've regressed to the point where you just try to get a couple guys on base and then hit a home run. There's almost no such thing as a rally. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, it used to be you might be able to get 6, 7, 8 runs, but now the home run, and ironically, it kills the high-scoring innings. Because if you get 2 guys on and hit a 3-run bomb, now you're starting over, and that guy might get pulled, so you're probably going to face a specialist, and you're probably only going to get 3 runs in that inning.
Well, and it's the numbers from the stats and the statisticians. What did Alex Bregman say? If I wanted to hit 300, I'd hit 300.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You swing for the fences, you get the thing out of here, and that ultimately is better for your team and your offense.
The question I was going to ask, I was going to say, I wonder when the last time in Major League Baseball that there was 4 different teams that won 102 games in a season or more in the same year, or 101 games, I guess, was what the Twins won. But then you have the Yankees at 103. You got the Dodgers at 106. You got the Astros at 107.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, 107 is a historic number. That's got to be one of the top 10 win totals in Major League Baseball
116
history.
is the all-time.
Is the all-time number.
You're creeping up on that thing at that point. Yeah, you're right. It is Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Quick break. On the other side, Dallas Neal, former Grizzly punter, former NFL punter, and tight end. How did that happen? He'll tell you. He's the subject of our ESPN Roundtable right after this.
Footballs are flying, the elk are bugling, and everyone is talking about pumpkin. Here at Florence Coffee, we take pumpkin serious with our real pumpkin lattes, chais, and frappes. Made with real pumpkin that is sure to delight the senses. Also, try our all-natural pumpkin spice flavoring made from real spices and extracts. So when you get a craving for something pumpkin, be sure to stop by your nearest Florence Coffee.
The best flavor under the big sky, Florence Coffee Company.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
It happens. You're positive you put your bank card back in your wallet, but the next time you need it, it's missing. Avoid the panic and take control with the My Card app and debit card from Farmers State Bank. Our app lets you control your debit card and securely turn it off right from your phone. Safe, secure, instant. My Card is available only at Farmers State Bank. Ask about it at any of our 9 locations or learn more at farmersebank.com. Farmers State Bank, member FDIC.
Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here with Josh from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident and need help dealing with the insurance company, you should give The Advocates a call.
It doesn't cost anything at all to call, and I'd be happy to talk with you about your situation. You don't want to have to be dealing with contacting the insurance companies and setting up your claim. We can do that for you from start to finish. We'll take the hassle out of the process so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give Josh a call, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers, but you deserve an advocate.
Missoula Parks and Recreation invites families to the 19th Annual Fall Family Festival from 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park, Saturday, October 19th. We'll be celebrating the season with wheelchair-accessible hayrides, fall-themed crafts, face painting, cider pressing, music, food, and fun for the whole family. This is a fundraiser for Parks and Rec, with all proceeds benefiting youth recreation programming. Join us October 19th, 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park for the Fall Family Festival. Details at missoulaparks.org.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon. Ryan Tootell here. Here's some sports news for you. High school is about the halfway point of the regular season, and the contenders and pretenders are starting to become a little more clear. This week's Class AA Treasure State Media Poll, Billings West held steady at number 1 in the division with 16 of the 22 first-place votes. Even though the Bears are on a bye this last week, they won their first 4 games convincingly and are 4-0. Butte is the only 5-0 team in AA, beating Sentinel last weekend 39-36 on a last-second field goal. The Bulldogs received the other 6 first-place votes. Missoula Sentinel, Helena High, and Bozeman are each 4-1 and round out the top 5, while Helena Capital and Hellgate are both on the outside of the top 5, though both have just 1 loss. In Class A, Billings Central is 4-0 and is number 1 after receiving 13 of 19 first-place votes. Hamilton bounced back from its first loss of the season, a 1-point defeat at Dillon that dropped the Bronx from the top spot of the poll for the first time this year. Hamilton beat Frenchtown and is now number 2 this week. Dillon is 3, Frenchtown is 4, and Miles City is number 5. In Class B, Fairfield is the unanimous number 1 for the 4th straight week. The defending state champions are 4-0, a mark that includes a win over number 5 Missoula Loyola. Manhattan, which gave Loyola its other loss, is number 2 in this week's poll, while Eureka and Red Lodge are 3rd and 4th. Tonight, on the year radio, Oakland hosts Tampa Bay in the AL wild card to determine the last spot in the playoffs. But it's just a one-and-done deal. What a heartbreaker for the Brewers last night. My goodness. Horrendous loss to the Washington Nationals, 4-3. But it is fun. It is exciting in these one-game scenarios, isn't it? So the Oakland A's hosting Tampa Bay in the AL Wild Card tonight. We'll have that for you out here on ESPN Radio right after the show. But now it is time for our ESPN Roundtable. We are broadcasting, by the way, in the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. ESPN Roundtable, this time featuring Dallas Neal. Dallas, a former Grizzly punter who went on to play in the NFL, and the story of how he got there is a great one. I hope you'll enjoy it. The ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls.
Well, welcome in to the ESPN Roundtable, and happy to be joined this week by former University of Montana football player and former NFL football player and current gym owner, entrepreneur, and consultant around town, around Missoula, Dallas Neal. Dallas, how are you? So good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to be here. Good to be enjoying this day.
Well, it's great to be enjoying the day, and happy birthday, first of all. I mean, congratulations. Another one marked down in the books. That's pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Big plans for tonight? You going to have some seafood? You going to do
barbecue.
Yeah, okay, that's
I'm
good.
I'm actually going to make some barbecue, some wings, and maybe a few calzones on the barbecue.
Do you do calzone on the queue?
Oh, yeah.
That's the way, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I'm into that. That sounds pretty great. We have a unique setup this time around, where Dallas is here in studio with me, and Coulter, who's been in Bozeman covering the Cats and is on his way back to Missoula, but is still en route. Hello, Coulter. How you doing on the phone line here?
Usually it's the guest that's on the phone line, not the co-host. But we make it work at Tootell, Nuanez.
That's right.
I'm happy Dallas is with us.
Very, very good. Well, we got a ton of stuff to talk about here with you. But you were you played at the University of Montana, graduated in 1999, and the story. Anybody who's gone on to spend time in the NFL, especially when you're coming from the FCS or the Division I AA level, has a pretty interesting story to tell. But yours in particular is maybe pretty unique even by those standards. Particularly, you were a great kicker, great punter for the University of Montana, but also went to the league in that capacity and as a tight end and as an H-back. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. And
right.
It didn't even make sense to me at the time. But I sent out – I was a good punter, but I sent out 32 highlight tapes to all the NFL teams. And I got no response. Didn't get invited to the combine. It was kind of end of story,
right,
as I knew it.
Yeah.
Had an agent, Ken Staninger, but it wasn't – things weren't happening. So I kind of took a little bit of a risk.
So what? Okay, so what did you do?
So me and a buddy were talking, and I decided I went down to Herberger's and convinced them to sell me a 4-foot mannequin leg, put it in a big package, looked up in the NFL who was the worst punter in the NFL. And so I put this in a package, sent it to Frank Gans Jr., who was the St. Louis Rams special teams coach, and said I give my right leg to play for the St. Louis Rams, and I have my highlight tape sitting right there.
That is too good.
So I didn't think anything of it, but he called me. He called me just out of the blue and just started laughing.
Really?
Like he just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And my first response was, well, did you watch my highlight tape? Because that's what was happening. Nobody was watching my highlight tape. And he said, no. And he said, but I will, and I'll call you back.
Okay.
So I get a call back like 2 days later, and he said, you got great hang time. I think you got a shot. He goes, but I don't want a rookie punter. I want a veteran. So I'll call USA Today, and I'll have them write an article about you and about your mannequin leg gig. And it happened.
Really?
So I got some press, and Green Bay, Atlanta, and Denver all picked up on it. And I went out and punted on a nice snowy day in Washington Grizzly Stadium for these three teams. And I could have, I didn't get drafted, but at the end of the draft, both Denver and Atlanta called me, and I could have go to either one as one of the 110 that come in as a walk-on.
Right. And so you ended up going to Atlanta.
Yeah, I chose Atlanta. It looked like there might be a little bit better opportunity there. And I really liked Dan Reeves. He was a great head coach at that time. And their punter was older. So there was a chance that it might be the end of his career.
But the elevation didn't draw you like, I could bang this thing up there for days in Mile High, right?
And the Broncos were kind of my team.
Yeah.
So I was like, but you're kind of like trying to get a job. So, yeah, I go down to Atlanta, and I'm expecting to play punter. But they had a guy get injured, and they needed somebody to run routes in training camp. And they kind of already had me on the cut list. So they're like, could you just run some routes? A month later, Dan Reeves pulls me aside, and he's like, I don't think I've seen you drop a ball in a month. I want to see you wear pads. I want to put some pads on you and see what happens.
Wow.
And that was my entrance into the NFL. I put pads on at 208 pounds and got annihilated. It was ridiculous. So once they put pads on me, my own coach didn't want to put me in anymore because he was concerned for my safety. I was a great receiver, but I wasn't big enough as a tight end.
That's
or as
amazing,
an H-back.
though. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's I've never ever heard something like that.
It was crazy. And up until we played in Tokyo against the Dallas Cowboys, when all the people in front of me got hurt. So the halfback got a concussion. The other guy pulled his hamstring. There was nobody left to go in. So Dan Reeves turns around and he goes, put the backup in. My coach, I'm standing next to him, says, we don't have a backup. This was a true story. He had that much confidence in my ability.
Right. There are no
So it gets worse. Coach Reeves was like, well, then put Neil in. And he said, with me next to him, you can't be serious. Coach Reeves grabs me by the face mask. I go into the game. First play, I was so excited and also so overwhelmed, I forgot what the play was. But I just ran a little flat route, and the quarterback picked up on it, threw me a ball, and I went 28 yards to the 2-yard line and almost scored. And from then on, in practice, you could never hit anybody below the waist.
Right.
So your strength, I was never strong enough to hit anybody, but I was quick enough. Well, once I got in the game, I could cut guys. I could hit them below the waist. I could hit them. And to my surprise, after a couple games, the coaches were like, you're really good at this. So from 110, I was the number 53 guy taken and put on the active roster. And I was required to gain 30 pounds in 30 weeks.
Some people, that sounds like a dream. I could do that. 30 pounds, easy. Where is the buffet? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But then you made the team as a punter / tight end.
I made the team
Backup
as
punter.
a tight end.
Yeah.
I made the team as an H-back, special teams player, and as a backup punter, which was a complete role reversal from what I was expecting.
That is bizarre. Coulter, have you ever heard of something like that?
But Dallas, you played some tight end and H-back at Montana, though, right? This wasn't as if it was your first time ever playing at a high level at these positions.
Well, it wasn't my first time playing at a high level, but if you look at the level of which an H-back or tight end plays at the University of Montana compared to what they play at in the NFL, it was a huge step up from where I was expecting to be. And I had also been losing weight to be a punter, so I wasn't big enough.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 208 pounds at any position other than punter in the NFL is probably a problem unless you're a 4'2" wide receiver or something like that.
Well, and they motivated me to gain weight. It was every Friday I'd weigh in and I needed to gain a pound. Well, if I didn't make my weight, it was $250 per pound out of my paycheck.
Oh, man.
And then if you missed it that week, they could double it to $500 a pound.
Oh, my goodness.
So every Friday was kind of a nerve-wracking day for me. I was like drinking the orange juice right at the end. And, and I was actually pretty impressed. Like nobody that I was around I ever saw take steroids. Everybody was just genetic freaks. And, it was amazing.
I got so many questions to follow up from that amazing story. But first of all, what were you eating? What was the process like to put on all the food or to put on all the weight?
So for me, I did have a big enough frame to handle the weight. So it was more like chocolate milk every time after working out. It was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at 6 in the morning. It was mac and cheese at 10 at night. It really had to do with just getting some quality calories in. But you just had to keep eating.
And lifting, right? I mean, like it's a muscle mass deal, so it's and you're burning calories, lots of them, obviously, when you're working out that hard. So then you got to eat everything you can find.
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours a day we were working out, and so you had to find a way to kind of out-calorie that.
What was the highlight for you aside from making the team, which is that's an unbelievable accomplishment to be able to say that. But in your time, you were with the Falcons for a couple of years, and then with the Jets there for a year or so. But what to you was when you look back at 3-4 years, in the NFL, in the league, front and center, what stands out to you when you look back on that?
the highlight to me was the moments that I had when I could get people to believe in themselves, or like as a team, it's the guys. You don't, when you're inside of it, it's not so much. I mean, playing in Green Bay and Lambeau Field in the playoffs and beating them when we had Michael Vick before he got in trouble.
Right.
That was some cool experiences.
For sure.
But you have this thing that you so push each other to a level that you've never experienced before, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I think that's why I made the team, to be honest, because I had that Rudy mentality that the team kind of needed. They needed some grit. And I think Coach saw that in me, and he wanted that, even if I didn't play a lot.
Right.
He wanted that.
I have three different follow-ups from everything that you've said. So first of all, I want to start with, you mentioned researching who has some of the weaker punters in the league. One of the things I think is so fascinating, we take all this technology and all this internet stuff for granted, and it's just become just a part of our lives. But we had Shannon Schwein in here on the ESPN Roundtable a couple weeks back, and she was talking about, when in the late 1980s when she was getting recruited out of Billings Central, there's no internet. You get a letter from Vanderbilt, you got to go to the library and go research, where's Vanderbilt? Where's that at? What's the school like? Even just 10 years after that, late 90s, how are you finding out information? Well, what's your tactic to find out who might have a spot for me?
I was definitely talking to my agent who kind of knew, but I really did it on my own. I actually just looked at who had the worst average and who was kind of towards the end of their career.
So age combined with maybe the...
Well, because what happens in the NFL is you start getting mandatorily paid more as you get older. And so a young guy would make a couple $100,000, where a veteran would be minimumed at $750,000 to $1 million.
Right.
So if they can save some money on the salary cap, you only need to be as good as the next guy. You don't need to be better than him.
Yeah. That's a great point. Coulter, what else you got?
You mentioned your agent. I grew up across the street from Ken Stanger. So Kenny's a great mentor of mine. He was one of my dad's best friends. And so I've known him my whole life. And we actually inducted him into the Montana Football Hall of Fame last year, which was great. It was really fun. And he had such a fascinating career because he was such a maverick, such a trailblazer in certain elements. But just tell us about that element of it, because Kenny was such a champion for small school guys, especially former Grizz, and helping them get shots at the big time. So what sort of influence did that play just on you and your opportunities in the NFL?
Well, I think he was really well known because Montana guys before me had, when they went into camp, they worked hard, they didn't mess around, and they got it done. And I think that kind of, you pave a way for somebody else, and they've been paving a way for you. So Montana guys are known that they're a little less of a risk. They may not be your marquee player, but look, you only have 10 marquee players on a team. There's another 43 guys that you need to be rough and tough and day in, day out, be bringing it.
And no drama.
Exactly.
Right?
And no drama.
Yeah.
And so
drama.
Yeah, and so I think that's what Ken Staninger got a reputation for. And so Montana guys got a shot when other guys may have even been a little more physically capable because they knew they were kind of a guarantee.
Yep. So, and you mentioned the camaraderie element of football, which is one of my favorite parts about covering it and talking to the guys. It was always one of my favorite parts as a player. And I'm to the point now where so many of my best friends from college played for the Grizz, and a couple of them played for the Cats as well. And when they first get out of college, it's such a hard transition. Even if you only play, FCS college football, you've been doing it for so much of your life, and it's just so much of it's so ingrained in you, that camaraderie, hanging out with your best buddies all the time. And it's a hard transition to get out of it. But now you've been out for close to 20 years. What's the transition been like for you? Was it difficult at first? And what sort of outlets have you found, both for the competitive nature and just for the camaraderie aspect of things, to kind of fill that void?
Yeah, and it's different because I had played in the NFL too, which brings a little bit of a different element. During the first few years, I actually traveled with a team called the Strength Team, and doing school seminars and still using some of that strength and that motivational gifting and those things. And then after you get a little older, it's like, you don't look quite as cool.
Yeah.
But I think, it's an interesting statistic because 1 in 1 million high school football players make it to the NFL. Mm-hmm. But yet 80% or more within 3 years are either divorced, bankrupt, or without a job. So the kind of the swing to the top and the swing to the bottom is kind of the 80%. And within a few years, I was divorced. And that's part of what I wrote in my story. We were talking about that. But there is a big swing. I don't think you can really act like there isn't. You either have to live in the glory days or you kind of have to grow up.
Right.
You know? And it is, you do. You need to grow up and you need to find something new. And you need to, kind of write a new story.
And so what was the story for you when you finished your time in the NFL? I know you went through that tough period in life, but also now, I mean, to look at you today, so you own the Source Gym here in Missoula, which has just been growing. In fact, a 5th anniversary just this month. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you're putting a lot of time and effort into that. I know that's not the only thing though, but that has to be part of what it is that how you try and express all the energy that's no longer being focused towards football when you're done with football, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that get me fired up and that's kind of what when I talk about deciding what you want to do when you grow up, I wanted to encourage people.
Right.
And a health club was just a really good avenue to do that. So, yeah, I was pretty smart with I kind of just saved the money that I had from the NFL, so I was able to start a gym.
Yeah.
When we got back. And I think that, I love doing, like the Falcons last year, they came and did an entire camp at Washington Grizzly Stadium for free for this entire community.
Right.
So things like that, encouraging kids, encouraging adults to be healthy, anything like that I enjoy.
Dallas Neal joining us. He's the subject of our ESPN Roundtable, former University of Montana football player and former NFL football player with the Atlanta Falcons and New York Jets. And Dallas, one thing we haven't talked about yet really is your time at the University of Montana as a football player, which was an extremely successful period of time for the Grizzlies. What do you remember about your first of all, how did you grew up in Great Falls or you played football there? What got you to the University of Montana in the first place, and what was it like for you to play for the Grizz in the late 90s?
Right. So my dad went to Montana State. My uncle went to Montana State. My mom's a Bobcat. All of them.
Yeah.
University of Montana was not on my recruiting list. My number one was Notre Dame. Number two was Colorado State. I had kind of my list.
Yeah.
And those, each one as a punter, started falling through. I was number two on the Notre Dame list, and Colorado State said they were waiting a year. And then the Bobcats really didn't want a full scholarship punter. They kind of just, hey, you could come in, you could do some things. And then all of a sudden, Montana calls me and says, we want you full time. We want you to punt next year. And it kind of just threw me for a loop.
Wow, yeah.
And I met Don Reed and met the team and the staff, and I said, I think this is the right fit. And then my first year was 1995. I was punting in the national championship game as a rookie.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it couldn't have been much more of a sweetheart adventure. And Don Reed was hilarious because the stuff he would do, he would bring candy bars to practice all the time. And he would get you to relax.
Right.
Because you're stressed out.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw up. Our biggest, fear of failing is what all players deal with. They don't want to screw up in front of 30,000 people. They don't want to, they're always afraid. So he'd pitch them candy bars and get them laughing and get them joking, and then they'll play for you. For a candy bar, of course.
Of course.
Dallas, take us through then the progression of your career, because after 1995, you guys win the national championship. Don Reed rides off in the sunset. He retires, and then Mick Dennehy takes over. So what was the coaching transition like for you and just the whole group of Grizzlies that kind of went through that at that time?
Well, I think more than just the coaching transition, I think we had some major player transitions. We had Dave Dickinson, Matt Wells. You had a group of seniors that were so strong and so kind of historic in a lot of ways. We had Crebo for one more year, and we had a few things that were going. But I think coaching-wise, Mick Dennehy, I don't think there was really – we didn't play as well in those next couple years, but we were in the national championship in 96.
Yeah.
So I just think that we kind of – all the stars aligned. And the groove was there in 95. And it was just really hard to have that level of play continue, even just with the caliber of players.
You mean you can't just replace Dave Dickinson? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean
Brian Ayotte did a really nice job.
Unbelievable.
And everybody did a really nice job, but the amount of things that need to come together, and we hadn't been on a good recruiting path before that. We weren't a national championship team, and so you expect somebody the year after they win the national championship to continue that level of success. You need 3 or 4 years because now you can start recruiting better players. So it does take time. So we had some down years in 97 and 98, and then they came back and won it in 2001 when that recruiting time was paying off.
Right.
Dallas, talk to us about just the dichotomy of being a guy that contributed on offense from time to time, but also as the punter, because 95, 96, those two Grizz offenses, two of the most prolific in the history of the Big Sky Conference, not just at the University of Montana. Both Dave Dickinson and Brian Ayotte threw for more than 5,000 yards. There's a million good receivers scoring 40, 50 points all the time. So what was it like maybe sometimes catching passes, but also sometimes being the punter, but also probably sometimes being the punter and not being able to get on the field hardly at all?
Yeah, I didn't do much at all in 1995.
Right.
It was. I mean, there was no reason for me to be there. I was on a full scholarship, but we didn't punt the ball very often.
Did you place kick as well though later on at all?
No.
Okay.
You know what? It's funny, but I tried to kick off. I tried to place kick. I tried all those things. I mean, from the time I was in third grade, I could punt a ball just amazingly far. It was a gift. It was not. And I worked at it, of course.
Sure.
But no, I can't kick a 35-yard field goal.
What was it about football that drew you in? I mean, like you said, you're a young kid and you realize you can do something that the other kids can't do, and so that's fine. But that doesn't mean you love it. That doesn't mean that you all of a sudden, just because I'm a great cake baker or whatever it is. So what was it about football that got you into it at a young age and something that you wanted to pursue to the point of sending mannequins to people that you did not know?
Well, I think when I was young, baseball was my thing. But as I got older, the amount you had to practice and stand on the field and play, it was a longer season. There was more standing around. And I'm like an ADD kid.
Right.
To try and get me to stand around is not. And so football was more physical for me. And so I needed that. Like, I couldn't just be a true punter. I wanted to run around. I wanted to run into people.
Right.
It was a good outlet for me. It was a healthy outlet.
Well, Dallas, you talked a lot about the coaching change, but just from a personality standpoint, what was it like playing for Mick Denny? I love Mick. He's a guy that's just hilarious, and I've always called him for some of my retrospective stories whenever I need an extra quote. But what was the difference like between Don Reed and him, and what was it like playing for Mick?
Well, Mick was an O coordinator, and so he was a technician. Don Reed never really – so it was like having your offensive and defensive coordinator. Now he was heavily more involved in the game. And so he's heavily more involved in the technical details. And so Don Reed really tried to let his coaches coach. Like, I'm sure behind the scenes he was doing a lot of things. But what I noticed with Mick Denny, he was very much more active. Like, he would get in the trenches with you, and he would work with you, and he would push you. And so I just saw he was much more of a hands-on coach, where Don Reed was more of like a rah-rah, even though he was probably coaching from the backside. But the persona of that was, yeah.
You had mentioned your whole family was Bobcats for the most part growing up, and that was sort of like probably the path that you thought you might be on. What was their reaction when you said, I'm going to Missoula?
So in 5 years, my uncle never came to University of Montana Stadium. A little sore about that.
Yeah.
But it was okay. It was okay. They came to a national championship game. And my folks just love both of the teams.
Right.
They're just happy to see their son play.
So you got a couple of relatives on the extended side that are just aghast, and this is excommunication worthy, borderline. And
Yes.
then your folks, like, the son wins out, right? They're like, that's always going to be the more important thing.
Yeah. They're stitched in half.
There you go. That's good. That's a good thing.
Dallas, when you hear your story, there's so many parallels between your story and Brian Salonen's story. I know you guys were a lot of years apart, but he had so many cat ties. His dad was a Bobcat Hall of Famer, but then he ends up coming to the Grizz and a tight end guy. But then when he gets to the NFL, he's playing all over the place. All of a sudden, he's playing defense, even though he didn't even play defense in college. I know you guys are a little ways away in age, but did you ever lean on him, or did you guys ever have any conversations like that, or is that just a complete coincidence?
So Brian was from Great Falls, and I just really looked up to him. Him and Brad Salonen, you were probably some of my childhood idols that I was emulating or modeling when I was growing up. So yeah, I'm friends with Brian, and I get to talk to him about it. During those times and seasons, I really wasn't able to connect with them, but now I'm able to.
After the fact, you go, wow, how about that? What's the deal with the Great Falls? Dallas Neal, our guest here, and Dallas, you said you got a nickname when you were in the NFL. Is this right? A free meal, Dallas Neal. Is that ringing a bell? What's that about?
It's not the most glorious nickname, but.
Well, it's pretty, you got the alliteration. That's pretty good.
Sometimes when you're not the Crusher, or anything like that, you get other nicknames. So, yeah, when you're with an NFL team, the players in between practices and on the road, we go out to eat.
Right.
Well, you take 10 guys out to eat. You're talking maybe $1,000 bill or sometimes a $2,000 bill.
Right.
So the routine was everybody had to lay their credit cards on the table. And the waiter or the waitress would pick them up and start pulling credit cards out. The last credit card pulled out pays the whole meal.
Okay.
So you get to go home to your wife and say, I just dropped $2,000.
Yeah.
On what?
Yeah.
Sushi?
Well, and playing for the league minimum as a rookie, obviously you got plenty, $2,000 meals, no problem, right?
Yes. For these guys, they would order $100 bottles of wine and things like that, but I never did. I would always I would never live in a house. I would always live in an apartment because I wanted to stay hungry.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, some of the guys, like you said, the 10 marquee guys, it's no big deal. But the rest, you're making a good living, but you don't know for how long. And second of all, it's $2,000. I mean, we can't be just dropping this for fun now, right?
Oh yeah, I was freaking out. But in 3 years of being with the Falcons, I never paid for one meal. That's how I got my nickname. I mean, I had the odds.
So you just
they knew, and they would know, and they would harass me, and they'd try and get me to pay, and I'm like, hey man, no deal.
Free meal.
Yeah, I was a legend.
Free meal, Dallas Neal. Now we know. Okay, that's good. I'll eat with you, and then we'll make sure the card doesn't get pulled. It'll be great.
Well, I just want to ask you just broadly, Dallas, playing for the Grizzlies, playing in the NFL. All of these things, it seems like it's taught you a great deal. But what do you take from it the most? What is this whole entire experience? How did that sort of set the stage for the second chapter of your life?
Everything in my life has been about persevering and finding peace in the perseverance. Like, just because things aren't going well in the moment, one, don't quit, and two, learn how to have a little bit of fun. And like, I almost got to where you kind of craved pushing through and fighting through some things. And that is something that helps you later in life, because later in life, you're not so much fighting with physical things. You're fighting with, emotional things. You're dealing with kids. You're dealing with other people and other business partners. And it has more to do with your character after that. And so you got to persevere and choose the right things character-wise, which is a lot different than just being a meathead.
Dallas, happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. You guys are great. I love listening to you guys. I love laughing with you. You have done a great thing for this community, and we really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate that. Same. Reciprocated. There you go, Dallas Neal, former Grizz punter and NFL punter and tight end as well. What great stories he had. The ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls. Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street in Missoula on the south end of town. 30 televisions, all with ESPN3 capabilities. You can watch any game, any level that you want to there. And great food menu, 18 rotating beer tap handles, an outstanding late happy hour, 9 to midnight, half off appetizers, $3 draft beers. Fantastic. Enjoy yourself on the south end of town. Paradise Falls is Missoula's coolest hot spot. We'll take a quick break, but before we do, I want to give you something. How about some Alpine Touch? I got an Alpine Touch hat,
an Alpine Touch Grand Slam pack with their 4 big jars of spices, including the pepper blend, the hickory smoke, and the prairie fire, as well as, of course, the original Alpine Touch. Going to give you this beautiful big case, this outstanding hat, Shoto, Montana. Shout out. What's going on? Alpine Touch. You go get there. Give us a call right now, 329-1899. First caller in, we're going to send this to you. You can also go online, alpinetouch.com, and order this for yourself. Send it to your friends, your family, or just use it on all of your meats, on all of your tailgating, everything you need. Alpine Touch is Montana's special spice.
Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
At the Montana Club, our goal is to create a menu of mouth-watering food with variety to satisfy any craving. From the garden-fresh ingredients in our salads to our succulent, perfectly grilled Montana Club Angus steaks, we take pride in every detail that goes into preparing your food. Top off your meal with a premium cocktail, wine, or microbrew. Come as you are and satisfy your craving with our home-style breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Hey everybody, here with my good friend Josh from the Advocates Injury Law Firm. Josh, if I've been in an accident, how much is it going to cost me to hire you?
Well, we take cases on a contingency fee. And what that means for you is that if you're hurt in an accident, we only get paid if you make a recovery. You'll never owe us anything out of pocket.
What about the call for a consultation?
That's not a problem. We don't charge anything for an initial consultation, so you have absolutely nothing to risk by calling us.
If you're injured in a car accident, call the Advocates, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com. Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy, education, and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
I hear the drums echoing tonight, but she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation.
One wild card game in the books, another one just about to begin. It is Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris Studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. Online at KurtzPolaris.com. If you missed anything in the show, you can find it on your on the podcast. Podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. The Tootell and Nuanez podcast. You search for it, you find it. It's brought to us by the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. By the way, the FCS Speculators podcast also going to be out there. You can find it if you search ESPN Missoula, the Tootell and Nuanez podcast. The FCS Speculators podcast is going to be there as well. So you can go check that out. Before we get into some baseball, I want to remind everybody, we are giving away tomorrow tickets to Homecoming. Homecoming, boys and girls. The Grizzlies versus Idaho State. This game on Saturday. Call right now. First 2 callers in to 329-1899. You're going to be registered to call to give us your best homecoming story tomorrow, which we will ask for tomorrow if we pick you. We're just going to pick somebody at random to give us your best homecoming story, but you're going to be registered for tickets to the homecoming game between Montana and Idaho State. 329-1899. Call right now. Give your information to the guys in the back. Also, easy enough, you can be entered to win by following on Instagram. 1029 ESPN on Instagram, our new Instagram page there, 1029 ESPN. So very happy to have that there for you as well. Last night, an unbelievable ball game. The Brewers blow a 3-1 lead in the 8th inning with their closer, their number one guy, Josh Hader, on the mound. And Rendon opened it up, got on base with a walk and an error on a bases-loaded, what would have been a game-tying single, becomes a bases-clearing 3 RBI sort of triple that it turned out to an out, but whatever. The Washington Nationals win in a fashion that sort of gets the monkey off the bat for a franchise that's been pretty snake-bitten over the years in the Washington Nationals, and is just a crushing defeat when things were looking so good for the Milwaukee Brewers last night. Tonight, reset it all again, this time with the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics. This game from the Coliseum in Oakland. How about that? A home playoff game for the A's. The Coliseum going to be rocking tonight. Charlie Morton going for the Tampa Bay Rays, while Sean Manaea is the starting pitcher, a lefty for the Oakland Athletics. The money line on this, minus 125. In favor of Tampa in this, or excuse me, in favor of Oakland in this one. They are just a slight favorite to go ahead and win this baseball game this evening. So looking forward to that tonight. Always these wild card games. I mean, we've talked about how they're not representative of who necessarily the better team is, and that it's odd in that respect. And as a game that's played always in series, regular and postseason, that all of a sudden here to start it off, you have a one and done. That said, it's still the result of an added team to a postseason. So this is still a +1, and I'm okay with it for 2 reasons. I'm okay with it first and foremost because I'm a fan, and it is great dramatic theater to watch these one and done wild card games. Last night in Washington, you would not have known if it was a Game 7 of a World Series or what it was, which was a one-game wild card playing game. It was absolutely great, and it's a blast to watch as a fan. The other reason is because this isn't replacing anything. Nobody's losing out on this. There's only an additional team that has a seat at the table, which I like. It's a very MLB, the hardest postseason to get into. It's a feat to get into the postseason in baseball, and this is an opportunity for those teams to get just one more team in from each league, and I think that's a good thing. But it doesn't last too long. You get in there, you get one game, and you see what happens. Now, it could hurt the team, obviously, that would have been in under the old system. If they were to lose that game, they don't really get a fair shake at it. But it's great drama, and it brings fans to the game, which baseball does need. You're right. Baseball needs it. So anyway, right now, ESPN Radio, we send you to the Bay, to Oakland, to the Coliseum for the Athletics and Rays for the AL Wild Card right now. See you tomorrow.
And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. We've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, pump it up, pump it up.
There's nothing that goes better together than a Johnsonville Big Dog and an ice-cold beer. Right now in the Town Pump Deli, Johnsonville Big Dogs are only $1.79, and Keystone 15 packs $8.88. Town Pump, right down the road.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up, oh yeah.
If you are hurt or disabled, you may be entitled to benefits from an insurance company or Social Security. I'm Chris Helmer, an attorney at Clark Fork Law Offices. Our Missoula firm specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. There are many unknowns when injured or disabled. The other side is fighting hard. You should too. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
Missoula Parks and Recreation invites families to the 19th Annual Fall Family Festival from 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park, Saturday, October 19th. We'll be celebrating the season with wheelchair-accessible hay rides, fall-themed crafts, face painting, cider pressing, music, food, and fun for the whole family. This is a fundraiser for Parks and Rec, with all proceeds benefiting youth recreation programming. Join us October 19th, 1 till 4 p.m. at Fort Missoula Regional Park for the Fall Family Festival. Details at missoulaparks.org.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.